Alright, we're getting into part 2 of this commentary. Hold on a sec. Now, so getting back to where we left off, you know, we have also the signature flower, rose accent that Carrie Bradshaw is known for, all provided by the wardrobe goddess that is Patricia Field. But for this and Just Like That, which again, all of us who were fanatics of the show remember that And Just Like That was mentioned in nearly every episode as Carrie was typing her column, and because it would explain the episode, but of Sex in the City. But our wardrobe costumer is and the new accents and even touches of our classic character is provided by Molly Rogers. She worked alongside Patricia Field during the entire Sex and the City series and its spin-off films, and also behind The Devil Wears Prada, Ugly Betty, Hunger Games, and co-costumer designer Denny Santiago, who also worked on both Sex and the City movies as well as Confessions of a Shopaholic. This information is provided online because through Nylon, so you can do your own research. But nonetheless, I want to make mention of the wardrobe because, yes, these women are not the same women that we met when they were in their 30s and 40s. Whenever the series started, late 1990s, we are going into, it's a whole new millennium, for heaven's sake, and they are in their 50s. And not for nothing, for being in their 50s, they look fabulous. So I get it. I've been seeing a number of mixed reviews because two of the characters have, and we haven't necessarily seen it yet with Carrie's character, but we have definitely seen it with our Miranda character. She has gone from our bombshell redhead to now a, respectable gray. And sophisticated, that if anything, I've even seen younger girls who've embraced gray. There's nothing wrong with that. So because people are like, oh, they look so old, Sex and the City is over, is dead, I think that's really unfair and also kind of telling how the patriarchy has infiltrated psyche to, like I've always mentioned before, it infiltrates the American psyche because it leads you to believe that if you are gray, then you're just, you're of no use. You're old news, you're old baggage, and that's not right. You can't expect for these women to look exactly the same of when the show originated, because that's just not how life works, especially, I think, if anything, during the pandemic, a lot of us were, have aged a little more because of the traumatic experience that we've all been going through because of the pandemic. Nonetheless, the fashion is still there. Charlotte is our sophisticated homemaker with her two girls now, and piano prodigy with one of her daughters. And Carrie and Big decided to not have family, so we're still seeing that. And then, of course, Miranda, who went from corporate law, has now transitioned into, I think, human rights. And she wants to get herself much more involved into the social political climate of what we are dealing with today. So we see instances of where they're taking what we already know, which was bold at that time. I just want that to be very clear, that however people are trying to tear this new series apart, they were bold and innovative for what it was in the 90s, and I think they continue to be refreshing. So again, maybe I speak because I'm a fan of the show, and they really can't do no wrong in my eyes, although that second movie was but they could have done without. I think they're refreshing in coming back and us seeing them how they are now and in their natural state, that they don't have a bunch of like plastic surgery and lip plumpers and fillers and where they look like plastic women. They look like what they are. Also, we see what happened to Samantha because Kim Cattrall uh, did not want to come back to the series or anything that has to do with Sex in the City. She has closed that chapter of her life. And so we see why she does not come back. It's because of some misunderstanding, or just, it happens. Certain friendships do not last a lifetime. And not that she seems cold or calculated, but because Carrie's character decides to not continue with Sarah, I'm sorry, Samantha's publicity, you know, uh, her help as a publicist, um, I guess Samantha takes it the wrong way, and for some reason ends communication with her. Also, we can see that because of COVID and it was nearly impossible, a lot of people were kind of left in the air, not knowing how they were going to move forward with a career with a pandemic. But in other countries, so it was smart of them, of the showrunners, to provide that in the series, that a lot of people opted to leave. A lot of people even went to Australia because Australia didn't even get those numbers like the United States did. And it influxes, every so often we'll see new developments and things do change. But at the initial, the inception of the pandemic, a lot of people opted to leave. And Samantha's character makes sense. She opted to go and move to London, but she isn't talking to Carrie. So it's not like they totally have written her off and, F her, like there's still some inkling of how there's a possibility that, who knows, maybe Kim will change her mind and maybe pop back in. I don't know if they continue with this, even if for a second, a small run through, who knows. But I feel like that they're trying to bookend how we started to perhaps how we will leave these characters. Now, moving forward, wow, what a complete facelift when it comes to yeah, no, pun intended, facelift and renovation of the show, because in the first episode we can see that, we're back to the same MO. Carrie wants to go to the Hamptons with Big, and Charlotte has a recital at Carnegie Hall with her daughter Prodigy, and we can see also her other daughter Rose, and she likes to match them up, and she wanted as much support as there as possible. We also are introduced to her new friend, who is played by Nicole Ari Parker. She's Lisa, and Lisa's married to Herbert, who is Christopher Jackson. If he sounds familiar, he's from Hamilton, and also In the Heights. So look, we can see the transition of Broadway onto TV. Nonetheless, so because maybe perhaps Carrie feels guilty into doing it, but she still has plans of going to the Hamptons with Big. Big does not want to go. Big opts to stay at home. And now this has become a whole big controversy because Big is on a Peloton, which a lot of people were on to keep, in fit, to keep fitness in their normal routine. But I think he already had a heart condition and he overdoes it on the bike to the point where he suffers a heart attack. And again, I want to make this clear, very clear, that no matter how people are judging this show based on just the ladies looking mature, Sarah is a gem. Perhaps because she has been working all of her life. She started young, very young, as a child, I believe, and so did Cynthia Nixon, who plays Miranda. There's no one who can convey sheer fear and desperation in the face like Sarah can. And when she walks in after the recital, thinks everything is fine, and sees Big literally take his last breath, your heart goes into a million pieces in seeing the end of Carrie and Big. It's even making me well up now because I cannot convey how incredibly talented Sarah Jessica Parker is. And you could just see sheer fear and loss immediately when she sees that Big is on the floor, and he wasn't in any kind of condition to get up or call 911. So And you can see the desperation, her trying to save her husband, and then, of course, calls Miranda, who is her rock, and then we see the coroners in the back. It's just so brutal because we never wanted to see the demise of any of these characters. So to see that, it was gut wrenching, and like a lot of us were like, "What? How do you do this? How do you kill Big?" But it makes sense because moving forward, we want to start with fresh new characters and a whole new life for Carrie. That maybe that also explains why she was feeling maybe stifled and a little filtered, in the sense that, well, I'm a married lady. Why am I going to be talking about certain things? Although she has to make those coins, because she wasn't. I mean, she was living with Big, but she wasn't living off of Big. She still was independent. So, and yeah, we see how these new characters are made important into these three ladies' lives. So there's that. Now bleeding into, sorry to say, into the second episode. The second episode, Little Black Dress. This is where it makes sense how I'm dressed. She had this beautiful hat to adorn her bun, and just it was very simple and elegant, which is how she wanted to have John Big's wake, and it's held in some beautiful gallery. She didn't want any flowers, but that's our indication that Samantha at least or Samantha's character at least had the civility to sympathize with her, knowing that she was going through loss, and she gifted her this beautiful draping flower that they kind of cascade over the casket. Montages of the actors past, and also just a culmination of Big on the show, and those instances of where we see how they first interacted. It's so heart wrenching to watch, but also you can see, which was brilliant of them, of the showrunners, to show the different phases that you go through when you deal with a death. So you can see that she goes through some forms of wrath and perhaps denial, and then numbness. I think she grows to accept it, but towards the end it's just so hard, and they already have an issue because now Charlotte, being our worrywart, puts all the blame on herself and is super dramatic. But it's not like we haven't seen these characters behave this way before, and Carrie just fesses up that, like, I love you, but you're just a little too much, and I'm already going through enough, and we need this to be about me. And I like that frankness that they have, that they're able to fess up their feelings. Like, they don't sugarcoat, like, look, I'm going through a lot and I just don't need you to be extra right now. And I appreciate that about this show. They've always been that way. That's what made them groundbreaking. And all these other shows that came after followed the same recipe. So I love that. I loved where they're going. Also, we're seeing already some new episodes and like these little small montages of what's to come for this season. And yeah, we see our Stanford Blatch that, unfortunately, this particular actor, Willie Garson, he passed soon after the show. So this is literally the last of what we'll see of Stanford, and we'll see how they'll play this out in the show, and I'm sure they'll pay homage to him. But I'm very satisfied, and however these 10 episodes will play out,